This is Weekly Woman by Jubilance for PMS. Amazing. Well, welcome. We're so excited to have you, Heavenlei and Leslie, for Viva La Menstruation. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Yay. And I know you both are calling in from different places. Can you tell us and our listeners a little bit where you are?
Yeah, so right now I'm currently in Walnut Creek, California. It's located in the Bay Area.
Yay. What about you, Leslie?
I'm currently in Riverside in Southern California. So
nice.
Really hot right now.
I'm so jealous. That sounds really nice. Leslie, I was just wondering, what have you guys been up to during the pandemic?
I was furloughed for a little bit, and then I joined Viva La Menstruation during the pandemic, and it was like a really life-changing thing. I appreciated all I've known Heaven since college, so it was very nice that we came together and we're like, let's try to do something for the community. I've also been trying to get back into school, and it was very, I don't know, I think it was like good timing, but also at the same time it wasn't, because what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to be a pilot, and the airports were closed, so it was going back and forth into the schools are open and then they're closed. Oh, you could come back, but you're not 6 feet away from your instructor, and it's been a roller coaster. But
wow.
We're back on track, and I'm trying to gear towards that for now.
That's amazing though. So are you currently taking classes? Are you starting to fly?
Oh yeah. So I took a class before the pandemic, and it was just an introduction class, and ever since I couldn't stop thinking about it, and I actually went up in the air, and the instructor was teaching me how to fly. It's a very hands-on thing, and I love to travel, so I was like, I think this is my calling, and you don't really see a lot of women pilots, so I definitely want to gear that way.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's not a career path that you really think about as a woman.
No.
Do you feel like in your classes, are you breaking boundaries? Are you able to talk about things that in a different way than your male cohort?
I think so, but also I feel like it's a little bit more challenging because they just see you as you're just another woman trying to do this, but you're not. It's just some comments that I get here and there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, I could do the same thing. In my seat, I need a little bit of a booster because I don't reach. But I make it work, and then my goal is to make a difference. And just because I'm a woman doesn't mean I can't do something that a man can't. And there's only 4% of women in the aviation world.
Wow, that's incredible. Yeah, we definitely need some more women pilots.
Yeah, so that's why I definitely want to go and make a difference and encourage others that just because of your gender doesn't mean you can't do something.
Wow, that's awesome. And it kind of ties into what you guys are up to with Viva La Menstruation. Can you talk a little bit about what it is? What is your organization?
Yeah, of course. So Viva La Menstruation, we are trying to stop period poverty. Every month we take donations, whether it's money or actual period products like tampons, pads, cups, birth control even. And we choose an organization at the end of the month, and we donate everything to that organization. Actually, in August, I was just in New York, and since I knew I was going, we took all of July's products to New York.
Yay!
I went to, I forgot the organization. It was in Brooklyn, and it was very nice, very different, because I really wasn't even, I was looking for a big building. It was literally a little door in the middle of nowhere. And I thought this was going to be something different, but I found it.
Great.
After, yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
So we do every month we take donations from family and friends, and we just try to get the word out there, tell our bosses who tell others. We're hoping during the holidays we get a little bit more donations, because it's people are a little bit more generous during those days.
Yeah. When were you able to start Viva La Menstruation, and how did this come to be?
It started
December,
actually.
December, yeah.
And can you talk a little bit about how did you start this organization?
So we started Viva La Menstruation just because menstruation is something that is very important and it doesn't get a lot of attention. I know, like in my experiences, there's been times where I've missed school, I've missed work, whether it's because I had really bad cramps or because I bled through my pants or because at that time I couldn't afford menstrual products. I know the university that I went to, they didn't offer free menstrual products like in the bathrooms. And so I would use like toilet paper or like whatever I could find. And I remember one day I worked in like one of the student offices. And I bled through like the paper towels and I bled through my pants and I bled on like the office chair. And I was like, I need to go home. Like I was so embarrassed. I was so devastated. But then you start to realize that this isn't just like an individual problem. Like you're not the only one that this has happened to. Like when we do polls on our Instagram about like who has bled in public, we get so many stories of like people bleeding everywhere in public, you know? So that's when we realized like it is something that's important. And then when we started donating to these organizations and these shelters, a lot of them say like you'd be surprised that like, they get a lot of like food donations, they get a lot of clothes, they get blankets, but it's like people forget that homeless people also menstruate. And so when people are donating, they forget that, oh, we should also donate menstrual products. And whenever we donate to these places, they always tell us like these are the least amount of things that we get donated. Like we don't get these donations.
So like if you think about it, you see a homeless on the street, like they still have a period, but just because they don't have a house and have no food, the period's still going to continue. So they could barely afford to eat. How are they going to afford period products?
Oh
yeah. It's just like at that point, like they have to decide like whatever money like they get, you know, like are they going to buy food or are they going to buy a pad? Most of the time they're going to buy food, you know, like they're hungry. So they use whatever they find. There's been stories of where they use like dirty socks. They try to use the same tampon, which is very dangerous because they can get toxic shock syndrome. They can get a lot of other diseases by trying to use the same tampon or pad. They use like toilet paper rolls, like the hard cardboard. They try to use that to absorb blood. Some people just free bleed, or there's a story, and one homeless woman said that when she's on her period, she'll try to sit in one spot so she doesn't have to keep getting up and having it run down everywhere. And she'll just sit there until her period's over. And like, when you think about that, like that's very hard to do, especially when you're homeless, especially when people are trying to kick you out of wherever you're like squatting. And it's period poverty is like just a really big problem and it's not getting a lot of attention. And so that's why we wanted our nonprofit organization to stand for something to help those who don't get that attention, who don't get that extra help, and to just kind of be there for them and be like, we see you, we know that, we've been there, we all bleed, you know, so that's kind of why we did it.
That's amazing. And so you guys have been around for almost a year now. So you're giving every month to different charities. I love that you do somewhere different each time. That's really cool. And then also I saw that you guys are also leading workshops. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so we started doing workshops. One of the first workshops we did, we were actually invited by a fraternity at Sac State. They asked us, they're like, can you guys come and teach us about menstruation? And then we're just like,
we had no idea, like, how are you teach these boys what to do?
Yeah, it was like such an interesting invitation because we're like, you guys want to learn about menstruation? Like, yeah, sure, of course. And then we also post a lot about, like, we're really big advocates for domestic violence and sexual assault. And they also were like, can you also tie in sexual assault in there? Because that's something that's very important, especially in college, you know, Greek life. Yeah. Sexual assault is something that's very important and should be talked about. So we're like, yeah. So we held our first menstruation and sexual assault workshop at Sac State. It went so well. One of the first activities we made the guys do is we passed out blank sheets of the female reproductive system. And we told them to label it. And it was so funny. So like, you see like the guys trying to help each other, like hey, what's this? And like some of the girls came because it's an open event. So like other people can come, and girls were just writing it down and they were like hiding your papers from the guys. They're like, no, don't look at it. It was so funny. And then we passed out stickers to whoever got it right. And then when we showed them, they're like, oh, okay, that's what that is. And I'm like, oh my goodness. But it was so fun because they were just like, they looked at us like, we're really gonna have to fill this out. I'm like, let's label it. So that was fun. We taught them about menstruation. We talked about like the pain. We talked about what menstruation is like, actually, like how does the blood come out? Why? What is that blood from? We taught them all of this. And then we touched base on sexual assault, the statistics, personal stories, all of that kind of stuff. We did like a questionnaire at the end of like, we gave them different scenarios of sexual assault taking place and whether is this sexual assault or is it not? Is this consent or is it not consent? And they were all very active in it. And then even at the end, they asked so many questions, which to me was so impressive because they actually asked questions. Like they wanted clarification. They wanted to know things. And afterwards, they came up and like asked if they could hug us because they're like, this was so great. Thank you so much.
Wow.
So that was amazing. And then one of the sororities that was actually there, they invited us to come back. And we did it last month. We went and we held a women's health workshop. And we talked about, October is breast cancer awareness month. So we talked about breast cancer. We talked about women's health in general, whether it's menstruation, vaginal diseases, STIs, STDs, how to take care of yourself, different herbs, supplements, things like that you can do to just balance your overall health. Because what a lot of people don't understand is your menstrual health and your overall health, it all correlates. Like everything works together. Like if you're not eating healthy, you might have heavier periods and more painful periods. Whereas if you're not drinking enough water, if you're not eating enough vitamins, you might have different period colors, different period blood textures. So it all like affects each other. So it was really fun to teach them all of these things.
Wow, that's amazing. I love that you were able to go into a fraternity. Who would think that anyone would want that? But that's amazing. These changing times, like you guys are creating this space where people can talk about this taboo subject and get the word out, which is so admirable. That's amazing.
Yeah, thank you.
It's very,
it was
but it's
fun.
also very like eye-opening because like our logo, it's literally like people look at it and like you could tell like the older generation. Like I have a sticker on my phone and like one of my older aunts was, what do you have on your phone? Like, is that really it? And yeah. And then I have to explain to them how it's okay. Like we're in 2021 and kind of bring them back a little bit. But then there's like some people who, oh, that is so cool. Can I have a sticker? So you see the different generations and how they react to it.
Yeah, that's so fascinating. Wow, really interesting. So yeah, continue to break those barriers. That's awesome. And you're a science teacher too, Heavenlei. Can you talk a little bit about how you talk about menstruation in the classroom?
Yeah, of course. So I'm a science teacher. So I teach preschool through 4th grade.
Oh,
it's so fun. It has definitely been such an experience because, kids, they're going to ask you what, when, where, how 20 times until they understand everything completely. And so it's really exciting to see like the questions they ask, especially when it comes around taboo things where they're probably not used to getting told about it in home. And so once they hear you say the word that is like a weird word, they're just like, oh, so tell me more about that. Cause then they want to know all the information because they think it's like secret information. And so just by kind of like telling them like what menstruation is. But one of the things I like to do with my students, or even if it's with my own nieces and nephews, is first you have to know about the body. And it's not just your body. You need to know about everyone's body, because if you just kind of focus, I know growing up, they literally would be like, okay, girls, you guys are coming in this room today and the boys go in this room, and we watch separate videos. We watched, it was called Right Around the Corner, and it was about our period. And the boys, like, it was like My Special Friend or something, and it was about their puberty happening. And it's like, I feel like we should all watch those videos, like everybody, to better understand each other. You know what I mean? And so that's what I like to do with my students and my nieces and nephews, is just talk about the body first. Like, this is what your body looks like, and this is what your body looks like. And they all have different functions. Like, this is how they work, and then this is how yours works. But you can't even think about another person's body unless you know your body fully as well. And so I think that's like very important, is to kind of reiterate to them. And I grew up like hiding my pads or hiding my tampons and like not letting anyone see. And now when I'm on my period, I just like pull them out. I'm just like, this is what it is. And then like my nieces and nephews are like, what is that? I'm like, this is a pad. So when girls bleed, you just put this on your underwear like this, and it catches all your blood like a sponge. And they're just like, and they're like, Titi, am I gonna bleed? I'm like, when you get older, girl, yeah, you are. You definitely are. And I was like, but don't worry, once you start bleeding, I'll bake you a cake. Like, we'll have a party. Like, it's not the end of the world. Like, it's not. And then with my nephews, it's a little different because, we have like a traditional Hispanic household. And so there are some still kind of like taboos where it's like women do this, boys don't have to know about this, don't talk to boys about this type of thing. And like, I'm just like, no, I'm gonna tell you
No.
about this. And it
Yeah.
was so funny because my nephew, he just turned 17. And my sisters always talk to him about sex. Like, you better not be having sex. And I even told him, I was like, listen, if you want to have sex, you can. That's your body, you know, consent first. But do you know what the clitoris is? And he was just like, what is that? And I was like, so since you don't know what that is, you shouldn't be having sex.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's like, well, I don't understand. I was like, no. So let me tell you. And then I like was talking about it, and he's like rolling his eyes, you know, 17-year-old boy, not wanting to hear the term as aunt. And I'm like, oh no, we're gonna learn about it. And so like now I like told him. And it was funny because then that Christmas, my family bought me a bunch of like clitoris and vagina like socks and like jewelry. But just like teaching them those little things is like, you can't fully understand your body or your friend's body or things until you fully understand it. And I think that's important because a lot of people always try to say it's inappropriate, but it's not. It's natural. Unless you yourself are trying to sexualize or objectify something, then that's honestly like a you problem. That's a personal problem. Because when you teach anatomy, when you teach body, when you teach science and how things work, it's not about being sexualized or those kind of things. It's about facts and it's about how things work. And that's how you need to look at it.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's amazing. I love that you're able to bring both sides to the classroom. I definitely remember being shuttled away into a separate classroom and we had to like all just sit there in horror. But the way you're able to teach is just like, hey, these are the facts, this is the body, understand both, which is amazing. And like that's how we should be doing it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. And so for our listeners, how can they get involved? How can they get involved with Viva La Menstruation? How can they get involved with helping to fight period poverty?
So we were actually just talking about this like not too long ago. There's been a lot of people who have been reaching out on like how to get more involved. And we're thinking of like just having them, it's not like a membership, but like become members, like join like an emailing list where we could tell you what we're doing. And we just want people like from different places, if they want us to donate to that place, like we could rely on them that we're going to give you our products and you're going to do the donation in our name.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And then we also offer like, we do donation boxes where we drop off boxes where people can drop off donations to whoever wants one. So for instance, in Patterson, California, there's a dispensary there and they're hosting a donation box. So like when you come in and you can buy like your weed, your CBD, you can also drop off period products. And then there's also one in the sorority. They have one and they've been using it at their school. There's one at the Cal State East Bay housing office. In their housing office, they have one. And like Leslie said, a lot of people have been reaching out to us. One lady who lives in Seattle, Washington, she reached out and she wants to know how she can host a donation box. There's been people in the Bay Area and we tell them that you can use these donation boxes, collect products, and say you want to send them back to us so we can donate, we can do that as well. Or if you know a place and you want to donate to that place, with all the donations you collect in that box, you're more than welcome to donate them to your community because that's what it's about. It's just having people in the community taking care of each other because the only people that are going to take care of your community is the people in the community. It's you. And so getting people involved in their own community is something that we really want to do and we really encourage. And so whenever anyone reaches out, we're just like, yeah, of course. So like, do you want us to go to your community? Do you want us to help out in your community? Like, what is it? I know right now we are having a poll and we're asking people, where should we donate to next? Do you want us to come to your community? Do you know a place? Do you know a shelter? And so those are definitely things that we want to do and encourage, just community organizing.
Amazing. And so people can find out about you on Instagram. Can you give us your handle? Do you guys have a website?
We are currently like, we have a website, but we are trying to secure our name first.
Great.
Before we make it official. And due to the pandemic, they've just been the courthouse has been very behind. So we haven't heard back from them in a few months, but everything's like already set up. We're just ready to like press that launch button.
Awesome.
So right now we're just using Instagram, social media. We recently made a TikTok as well.
Amazing.
Just our name, Viva La Menstruation.
Yeah, so we have Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. And we also have an email. So all 4 of those things are easy ways for people to get a hold of us.
Incredible. Well, thank you so much, girls. It was amazing to get to talk to you today.
Thank
Thank you for
you.
having us. This has been so fun.